with the Master. I am Brother. This is Father.
Apparently, I'm Father Roll-On Deodorant.
Yes. First of all, we're talking for the readings for the first Sunday in St. Martin's Lent, which is also the first Sunday of the church year. Happy New Year again. We had the old Celtic New Year on All Saints' Day, November the 1st. And then the secular New Year that we'll have happens in January 1st. But this is our liturgical New Year, the New Year for the church. And it is fitting that we are celebrating St. Martin as...
Are we going to drop a ball at the church service on Sunday? We should do that.
We're gonna drop a baby, though, because we're having a baptism.
We are having a baptism. I'm not going to drop the baby.
There is one liturgical function. I'm an exorcist. There is one liturgical function for the whole year for the exorcist, and it is the exorcism of the salt and the water before the priest blesses it. And there's this great move that I get to do where, you know, it's like talk to the hand. Well, you get to talk to both hands, but they're also a cross, like a St. Andrew's cross, and then I say my piece. And it's like, when I read that in the thing, I was like going around work that night, and when nobody was looking, I was like, pow, yeah, it's so cool. Anyway, here's St. Martin, the patron saint of chaplains, which Josh also is. Also the patron of our church here, and with Josh on Veterans Day. How fascinating that November the 11th, Veterans Day, is the feast of St. Martin.
Oh, I did not know that.
That is actually today.
Interesting.
Happy Patrons Day.
Well, thank you.
Nobody else will probably care about this, but this was also the day 9 years ago when Skyrim Elder Scrolls V was released.
Important.
For me. I'm not generally a video game player, but okay.
My youngest son is trying to get me, like, I haven't touched a game system in years. I mean, like since GoldenEye, that long. I haven't played video games like on a system for that long. And for the deployment, I bought two Xboxes. So we can play together and then like be able to talk and just have something we can do together while I'm overseas. It's a different world than like people that were in Vietnam. By the way, yeah. Anyway, but he's got me doing Ghost Recon, and I'm like,
oppressive graphics.
My gosh, like, I forget the graphics. I am like, there's this thing and this thing and this thing, and there's all these buttons and these things here, and I'm like, there's so much to do. I just want. I liked the time when you just had two little buttons: shoot and move, and that was it.
Anyway. I made reference in the last video to the 7 days of the week, which I wanted to address real quick. I think that possibly the Bible and Christianity and Judaism, and by extension Islam, are the only religions where there's a 7 day week because God made the world in 7 days, or 6 days, and rested on the seventh day. And most of the rest of the world, it's a 7 day week because there's 7 observable planets. Now, by planets, we mean
heavenly bodies.
Heavenly bodies. So they could see the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And I'm just going to use the Spanish names because it's easier. Monday is Martes, which is Mars. Tuesday is Miércoles, which is Mercury. Wednesday is Viernes. Viernes. No,
don't look at me. I don't speak Spanish.
Martes.
Taco. I can do that.
Burrito. Thursday is Jueves, which is Jove or Jupiter. Friday is Viernes. Wednesday is Miércoles. Which one am I missing? It doesn't matter. They're named for the planets. Interestingly, though, and then in English, we have Saturday, named for Saturn, and then Sunday, named for the sun. But what's interesting is in the very Catholic-influenced Spain, you have Sábado, which derives from Sabbath, and Domingo, which derives from Dominus, which is Lord. So they actually have Christian names for the end of the week. That was so not important, and I spent a whole 4 minutes on it. All right, the readings for...
We can cut it out if you want.
That's all right. The readings for today are Genesis chapter 1 through 2, verse 3, that whole thing, which I'm not going to read. God makes the world in 7 days. And then the Psalm, which is 19, which is the heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament shows his handiwork, and talks about, it has this beautiful imagery. In the deep he has set a pavilion for the sun. It comes forth like a bridegroom out of his chamber. It rejoices like a champion to run its course. I do love that image of the sun getting up every day and, like, oh, all right, let's do this thing. Dun, dun, running across the sky. There's I talked about G.K. Chesterton when I was talking about you and Mikey playing Crash Cars, and how maybe the sun rises and goes across the sky every day because God's like, do it again, do it again. That's awesome. We get tired of it. We get bored with it. It's our one invention is boredom, but God does not. The epistle.
That's from the Hogfather.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. The Gospel according to what's
Terry
his name?
Pratchett.
Terry Pratchett. 1 John chapter 1 verses 1 through 4, and the Gospel, John chapter 1 verses 1 through 9. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Not the full Trinity initially, but setting up right there the idea of the Word was God, but the Word was with God, the same and separate at the same time. Okay, so I was writing on my hand. Two things that I wanted to talk about. Number one, the Gospel according to J.R.R. Tolkien, also known as the Silmarillion. You can see it was not an allegorical book, but you can see. Well, there are
threads of Christianity in it.
Yes, and actually in Magician's Nephew as well. You see a Celtic idea about creation called the Oran Mor, which is the Great Song, where God makes the world by singing it into existence. We're living in a song, and I truly love that idea. And one of the things Josh was talking about, the rebellion of Lucifer, more or less Morgoth in or Melkor in the Silmarillion. He wanted to insert his own thing into creation, into the Oran Mor, and it's like this disjointed, cacophonous, dissonant. I can think of some speeches I've heard recently that actually reminded me of that very much. And God is able to weave that into the creation story until it just becomes so odious and so ridiculously willful and ugly that he cuts the song off. That is both hopeful and a warning for us that God can take our willful mistakes and weave them into his plan, and make them part of the song, and make the song. There was a guy, Mr. Nurse. Tyler, one of our parishioners, was speaking the other day about how he used to believe that he had ruined God's plan for his life. We used to be taught that God had a plan for our lives, and then when we stepped out of his will, that we would never be able to recapture that. But that's one of the things, like in the Easter liturgy, there's this hymn, and it says, it has the line, "Oh, happy fault of Adam," because it brought about Jesus. But it's not that was a good thing, but it's that God can make something even more beautiful out of our mistakes. Although there will come a point where he's like, nope, no more. I'm not allowing you to ruin this for everybody anymore. So
it's like that image of and I love this, the broken china or whatever. That's the Japanese thing where they'll take it and use gold. It's actually a type of art, and they'll make something out of these broken pieces more beautiful. Or like stained glass, which is just broken glass, and you put it together, and it's nice.
That was actually in one of the most famous rooms of the Taj Mahal. It was supposed to be all mirrors, but when all the mirrors were being sent there, they all, you know what, I've never actually checked to see if this is true, but I'm going to say it is. They all broke on the way, and so they just glued all those broken bits into the wall, and then now there's this, you can't see your reflection, but there's this brilliant, shiny, sparkly room instead.
Where they disco.
Yes. The other thing that I wanted to mention was one of my favorite stories from the Desert Fathers in the Eastern Orthodox Church. I can't remember who it was. I should really look this up. But there was a monk, um, a monk out living in the desert, and constantly one of the recurring stories about these monks living out in the desert is that they're constantly being tempted by demons to try to turn them from the path. Um, so there's this monk is out there. This demon comes to tempt him, to torture him, to try to get him away from his prayers, and he traps him with the sign of the cross. He's saying psalms and praying, and the demon can't stand to hear those words, and he begs him to stop, to release him, and he will do anything if he will just stop doing all that. And the monk says, "Okay, I will let you go if you will sing the song that you sang at creation," remembering that this demon had one time been an angel, and that at the time of creation, well, I guess according to this, they had not rebelled yet at the time of creation. What verse is it where it says in the morning stars all sang together?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's in Job.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's in the Psalm. Anyway, that all the angels sang at the creation, along with the Oran Mor, along with the great song. So the demon thinks back and remembers the song, and he starts to sing it. And as he starts to sing it, he begins to change, and he turns from the ugly demon into his former angelic self. And he, in the act of singing that song, he remembers who he was. He remembers who God was. He remembers that time in his history, and he becomes the being that he was. And then he thanks the monk for making him do that, and he returns to heaven.
Mm.
Um,
That's cool.
I don't know that that's. I hope that's theologically sound. I hope that's exactly the kind of thing that it is exactly the kind of thing that I could see God doing. Just waiting for even Lucifer to repent and return to him. Whether it'll actually happen or not, I cannot say. But I know for a fact that he is doing that for us.
So, sing the song that God gave you at your creation. Whatever that is.
I get it. Sorry. I just ruined it. So I would ask for those of you who are watching on this feast of St. Martin, to pray for all of our soldiers, and especially to pray for our parish, as we are bereft of our priest, and our priest as he is going to minister to men who will really need him in where
women.
he's going, and women, soldiers who will really need him where he's going. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I give you my heart, my soul, and my strength. Make me a good man.